The streets are full of colors and sounds. Sellers bargain about fruits and vegetables, while brightly colored buses pass by, filled with people on their way to work. 5 times per day, the melody of Adzan spreads with the wind through the busy city. It's Dhaka, the capital and heart of Bangladesh, a city of hope and uncertainty for more than 22 million people. Dhaka, one of the most densely populated cities in the world. Behind the chaos of the city life, many stories are untold. Due to the unplanned cityscape, Dhaka has not just 101, but thousands of challenges that people are facing daily. While a lot of development is going on, broken roads, pollution, and disruption are waiting to be improved. As the majority of people is moving around day by day, there is a huge amount of traffic around the city. Cars, buses, motorbikes, and other means of transport often come together to massive traffic jams, and sometimes it takes hours to reach short distances. The scenario might change once the metro line can reach more destinations and more people start using it. But for now, a common way to move around is using a rickshaw, the most popular local tricycle. Rickshaw is the beauty of Dhaka, and it has been a favorite vehicle for many decades. As it requires relatively small capital compared to other businesses, many of the lower-income communities pull rickshaws to meet their everyday needs and provide for their families. Pulling rickshaw is as hard as it is risky. According to Bangladeshi social reality, in most cases, men of the house take this responsibility. Dhaka streets are the man's world. However, there are a few exceptions on the roads. One of them is Feroza. To finance her family's needs, she has taken up a difficult profession by learning how to drive an electric rickshaw, even though she's a woman, which is not common in Dhaka. Every day from morning to night, many people see this woman making her way through the streets. While many praise it, many people express their sorrow too. Only a few know the story of Feroza. Despite being surrounded by millions of people daily, she is alone. Due to river erosion, there is nothing left behind in her home village, around 100 kilometers from Dhaka. Her parents died when she was young. Also, her brothers don't live anymore. Feroza moved to Dhaka looking for a better future. After her fate struck her again, she had more loss to carry. This left her no other choice but to take over the steering wheel to earn a living on 3 wheels, rickshaw. On a typical day, she earns around 1,000 taka. As she doesn't have her own rickshaw, she pays 450 taka each day for renting and charging the battery in the garage. Each garage has a similar build-up.
গ্যারেজ চালানোর একটা মিস্ত্রির দরকার, একটা ম্যানেজারের দরকার, ড্রাইভারের দরকার। ড্রাইভার না থাকলে গাড়ি চালাবে কে? আর মিস্ত্রি না থাকলে কাজ করবে কে? আর ম্যানেজার না থাকলে দেখুন করবি কে একটা গাড়ি তুলে অন্য কেউ নিয়ে যায়, এখন কে বলবি যে এই গাড়িটা কে নিয়ে গেল?
In many cases, the rickshaws are built in the garage. Anwar buys the parts from different places and then assembles the rickshaws himself.
মনে করেন যে নিচের মালের জন্য বাড্ডা যাওয়া হয়, বডির জন্য বাড্ডায় থেকে নিয়ে আসা হয়, তারপর 4 নম্বর রোডে এইরকমই পোস্ট অফিস গুলি বানাবার দেওয়া হয়। আর বডির কাম মনে করেন বডি মিস্ত্রি করে, আর্টিস্ট করে, মনে করেন আপনি রং করে, এগুলো হলো ওই বডি কারখানাতে নিয়ে যায় কাজ করে গেল।
The crowded streets often leave scars on the rickshaws. The owner used to be a rickshaw puller himself since he was a boy before he started to lead the garage. Since he is the oldest son in the family, he needs to be responsible and provide education to his 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and 2 sons. The rickshaw pullers and drivers come and go. Sometimes only 1 rickshaw is rented, sometimes even all 20. All of the workers stay for a different amount of time. Anwar hopes to make the garage bigger in the future and increase the numbers of vehicles.
একবার তো থাকে না, মনে করেন যে আসে হয়তো 10 দিন থাকলো, 5 দিন থাকলো, 15 দিন থাকলো, থেকে গেল, আবার যায় আবার আসে, এটা কামই এক চালা তো কোনো ড্রাইভার থাকে না।
Like Firoza, many rickshaw pullers and drivers come from different areas. Many of them come from faraway places such as Netrokona, Bogura, Sirajganj, Gaibanda, Barishal, or Kurigram. While some men rent a room in a hostel, some garages offer a floor where they can sleep. Being far away from their loved ones, the fathers dream of providing a bright future for their children and earn extra money. Each rickshaw puller has their own story, but there's one thing that they have all in common. It is their hard physical work and sweat that keep the rickshaws going. Sometimes during the day, they need to rest for a while to regain their strength. Just like many others, Surui is a rickshaw puller by profession. He has been driving around the streets since he was 15 years old. Even though his leg was crushed in an accident, he has been doing this job for 20 years already. Not having a big budget to spend on attractions and activities, he found his own way of enjoying the city. He takes photos and shares them with his family. With his creative mind, he found both peace and comfort in reality. One day, he stopped in front of the National Parliament building to take a photo with a button phone. Then he started posting photos on Facebook and gained public attention. Many people started recognizing him on the streets, and he was taken on different trips. While the attention of the public was fading slowly, Surui returned to his normal life. After tying gums on his head, he keeps pushing the pedals of traditional rickshaw on the streets of Dhaka. The shadow of the rickshaw pullers is narrow. Many men wear a traditional cloth called lungi, which they bind around their hips. Rickshaws are the main vehicle for short distances in Dhaka city. This 3-wheeled transport can be seen in the alleys of the city. The almost 100-year-old traditional rickshaw was brought to Dhaka from Kolkata in India and is surrounded by a rare art of painting. The design seen on the hood and body of the rickshaw cannot be seen anywhere else in the world. The rickshaw artists make their rickshaw attractive by painting colorful pictures or sewing with shiny patterns, enhancing the roadscape of the brickstone concrete street. The pictures are known as rickshaw paintings. Rickshaws are considered to be accessible and cheap human-powered vehicles in Bangladesh, but they have to go through the hands of different professionals from manufacturing to putting them on the road. One of them is Bapi, a rickshaw maker and decorator by profession for 21 years. He was involved in rickshaw painting and decorating since he was born. His father taught him everything.
আমার বাবা আমার জন্মেরও আগে মানে এটা 7 দিনের পর ঢাকা প্রবর্তন করার পর থেকে এটার সাথে সম্পৃক্ত ছিল। আমার একটা চাহিদা ছিল, এটার প্রতি ঝোঁক ছিল যে আমি এটা শিখবো, ভালো লাগে, এই আস্তে আস্তে মানে শেখাটা হয়ে গেল।
He's fascinated by his job and enjoys working with different designs. The materials he's working with are mostly coming from China and India. He's building the whole vehicle before he decorates it. It takes around 3 days to finish a rickshaw. In a month, he creates around 8 to 10 rickshaws. The design of the decoration and paintings changes over time. Back in the day, people wanted actors and actresses to be painted on rickshaws, while nowadays, it is mostly floral decorations with birds and different shapes.
ভিতর প্যাসেঞ্জার বসতে পারে না, তখন পানি টানি পড়লে একটা জিনিস নষ্ট হয়ে যায়, তখনই কিছু কাজের একটা চাপ থাকে। পালতিরের হুড বানাইতাম, একসময় লতা হুড বানাইতাম, নর্মালি প্লাস্টিকটা ব্যবহার। আর্টটা তো সম্পূর্ণ মনের অভিরুচি, সেটাকে আর কি একটা রিক্সার প্রতি একটা প্রতিস্ফুটি করে দিচ্ছে আর কি, যে না এটা এইভাবে, এটা এইভাবে।
Rickshaw is a transport like people can ride by themselves, and when they ride and they use a rickshaw, and then it's again connecting with a different way how it could be also a decorative piece. Rickshaw painting, there are a lot of things you can transform in your own ideas. There is color, there is texture, there is pattern, there is different kind of forms, so people can easily get some inspiration, any of artists. So in Bangladesh there are so many artists that also transform so many different ideas which is influenced from rickshaw painting. The banner painter who's used to paint for banner for cinema, they are also transform their ideas in rickshaw painting decade to decade. There's so many ways you can interpret the rickshaw painting and the way how it was started. Even it's decade to decade the practice is going on until it is also it is the practice is happening. Digitizations mostly they lost their profession.
In reality, everyday life is not as colorful as the rickshaws. Within a short period, 2 more deaths occurred in Firoza's family. When her only 18-year-old son suddenly died, it was a big shock for her. Everything happened so quickly. As if it was not enough, her husband died shortly after. There was nobody left who could take care of her. Earning 4,000 to 5,000 taka in her previous job was not enough to cover her medical costs, living expenses, and support her 3 daughters. One of them is married and has her own family with 2 children, while the other 2 daughters are living with her sister. Aged 43, she learned to drive an auto rickshaw on Dhaka's busy roads to pay her bills. She's on the road for 2 years now. In Bangladeshi society, parents usually live with their sons, once the daughters leave the house to live with their husbands' families. As her only son and husband died, Firoza is staying in a shared room with her nephew in Kamranginchar, Dhaka.
জানছি আমরা একসাথে ভাড়া থাকি, উনি 8 মাস হয়েছে আমাদের বাসায় ভাড়া আসছে, আমরা একসাথে ভাড়াটে। একটা পুরুষগুলা যে কাজ করে একটা মহিলা মানুষ সেই কাজ করে, কষ্টে পিতে চলতে একটু কষ্ট হয়। 3টা মেয়ে, ওনার হাজবেন্ড নাই, এক সকালে যায় এক রাত্রে আসে, এটা পুরুষের কাম একটা মহিলা করতেছে।
Despite her back pain and diabetes, she's still driving 12 hours per day. Due to her age, she was not able to find another profession. Regardless of all challenges, she enjoys doing her job and doesn't complain.
ভালো আশেপাশে আমাদের আরেকজনের থাকি, উনি ভালোই আছে, কোনো ঝগড়াঝাটি নাই, কোনো গ্যাঞ্জাম নাই, ওনার মতন থাকে, আমাদের মতো আমি থাকি।
Firoza is happy that she can earn honest money with her own hands. One day, she hopes to buy her own auto rickshaw.
With the time being, I think the economy is growing in Bangladesh people are at this moment, they are choosing rickshaw drive pooling because they have no other alternative, but they need to earn. They are the wage earner of the country. When economy will grow up, so people, I think they will actually switch this profession to the other profession, particularly the auto or auto rickshaw or CNG. This type of mode actually, I think, provide better facility for the users other than motorized rickshaw. There is some problems, particularly at first they don't provide any protection for the users. They are driving in the higher speed, and also they have some stability problem. Their tire footprint is very small. That is actually, if they collide with any type of vehicle, they will overturn very quickly. So there is some safety issue also. So I don't think actually this motorized, we can allow in the suburban area, not in the actually the highway or regional highway, this type of vehicle, of course. In the main city area, also if we allow, we shouldn't mix with the other motorized vehicle, this type of battery driven rickshaws.
As the rickshaws don't have any indicators, cars and buses are sometimes taken by surprise if a rickshaw makes its way through the gaps on the roads. Often, rules are not followed.
রিক্সার সমস্যা যেমন ধরেন হঠাৎ করে ঢুকে পড়ে, আবার অনেক সময় রং সাইড দিয়ে আসে, এই একটা মোড়ের মধ্যে দেখা গেছে সিঙ্গেল দিছে চলে গেছে। ট্রেডিংয়ের ব্যবস্থা করলে ভালো হয়, ওটা অনেকেই বুঝে না, গ্রাম থেকে আসে অনেকে।
The dynamics on the roads are not always friendly as many different kinds of transport share the same space, each of them with their own destination in mind, while the time is running what can lead to accidents. It is essential to be attentive and assertive. Surui knows how to make his way through the chaos and keep order on the road. Sometimes, it also requires being dominant and insisting on your space. Damaged roads and new regulations test the mental and physical strength of the rickshaw pullers. At home, however, his nature is very gentle. The tiny, sweet home is filled with a wonderful wife, their 5 children, and his aged mother. In each corner, many things are going on, spreading a good atmosphere throughout the whole room. Suru's wife used to work in a garment industry to support the family additionally. As the budget is not enough to explore places together as a family, they see Dhaka through the eyes of Surui and his photos. Even though they don't have a lot of money, they share many happy moments. Dhaka never sleeps. Yes, night wolves pull rickshaws even at night. This is the time for those who have more strength than others to earn. Chunu is one of them. He's 28 years old and has a lot of fresh energy. After losing his job before the corona lockdown, Chunu started pulling a rickshaw. He couldn't find any other profession despite his young age. As he has a son and a wife, he had to find ways to earn money.
আমাদের দেশে আমরা যারা রাস্তায় চলাচল করে যেসব লোকজন, অনেকে তারা অ্যাকচুয়ালি আইন সম্পর্কে অবগত না এবং তারা মানতে চায় না, এটা একটা ইস্যুস। এবং ওভারব্রিজ থাকা সত্ত্বেও তারা ব্যবহার করে না অনেক সময়। তারপর জেব্রা ক্রসিং থাকা সত্ত্বেও তারা জেব্রা ক্রসিং ইউজ করে না। অ্যাকচুয়ালি যদি রিক্সা যদি ভিআইপি সড়কগুলো না চলে বা ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে সড়কগুলো আছে এগুলো যদি না চলে, সেক্ষেত্রে অবশ্যই যে এগিয়ে যাবে, কারণ ট্রাফিক ব্যবস্থাপনার উপরে অনেকটা ডিপেন্ড করে, অর্থনীতি ডিপেন্ড করে, তাই না? যদি আমার লং টাইম ট্রাফিক জ্যাম থাকে, আমার ইকোনমিক্যালি আমরা হ্যাম্পার্ড হচ্ছি। যদি এই ধরনের প্রবলেমগুলো, যেমন রিক্সা যদি ইম্পর্টেন্ট সড়কগুলো না চলতে পারে বা যানজটের সৃষ্টির কারণ না হয়, সেক্ষেত্রে অবশ্যই দেশ আগাবে বা দেশের অর্থনৈতিক সিচুয়েশন আগাবে।
In December 2022, the first metro line was launched in Bangladesh. This development hopes to ease the heaviness of the traffic on the roads. Bangladesh slowly becomes more modern. This is connected to many advantages. Fewer cars on the roads will decrease air and noise pollution. Fewer people will die and get injured in accidents.
মেইন প্রবলেম হলো অ্যাকচুয়ালি যে দুর্ঘটনাগুলো ঘটে এটা অনেকাংশে দায়ী যাত্রীরা নিজে, যারা পথচারী তারাই। কারণ তারা নির্দিষ্ট কোনো নিয়মকানুন তারা মানতে চায় না, অথচ কোনো সিগন্যাল দিলে বা তারা নিয়ম মানার চেষ্টা করে না। তারা যখন তখন তারা নিজেদের মতো রাস্তা পারাপার হয়। তাদের এই যে বেখেয়ালিপনা বা এইটার কারণে আসলে দুর্ঘটনায় তারা শিকার হয়।
At the moment, the new method of commuting didn't gain high popularity in Bangladeshi society yet. Changing habits takes time. In the future, the network will be extended, covering more areas of the city. What will this mean for the future of rickshaw pullers when more and more people will start using the metro? Regarding the development of the city, many people think that a logical transition is needed.
ঝামেলা বেসিক্যালি রিক্সাওয়ালারা তো আসলে তার নিয়মকানুন মানে না, এটা হলো মেইন কথা। আপনি যদি আমি তাকে ভালোভাবে তাকে চলে যেতে বলি, হ্যাঁ সে চলে যাবে, বাট এখান থেকে সরাই দেবো, সে 10 গজ দূরে যায় আবার দাঁড়াই থাকবে। মানে এই যে একটা প্রবলেম, আর ওদেরকে আসলে তো বলে কি করা যায় না, ঠিক আছে? ওরা তো শুনতে চায় না, এটা হলো মেইন কথা। রিক্সা ওরাও আসলে জীবিকা নির্বাহ করে এটা দিয়ে, এটা বোঝা যাচ্ছে। কিন্তু প্রবলেম হলো এই যে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ জায়গায় বা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ সময়ে তারা যখন এন্ট্রি করার চেষ্টা করে, অনেক ধরনের প্রবলেম ক্রিয়েট হয় এবং সড়ক দুর্ঘটনার অনেক সৃষ্টি হয় এই রিক্সার কারণে। কারণ ওদের কাছে তো ওরা তো ডান বা কিছু বোঝে না, ওরা যখন যেখানে পারে সেখানে ঢুকাই দেয়। এটা আসলে সড়কের দুর্ঘটনার অন্যতম কারণ মনে করি।
Thousands of people rely on pulling and driving rickshaws. There is often no other reliable profession that they could do without achieving higher education. Their hardship in life is often spiced up with health issues and complicated family relationships. Here, people are struggling without complaining. Instead, they proactively do something about their situation and find solutions. Like others, Feroza is not an exception here.
আম্মাই দিছে, আম্মা কষ্ট করছে, কাজ কাম করে আমরা চলছি, মায়ের এর কি আমাদের কষ্টে জীবনযাপন পার হয়েছে। বুঝেনি তো, বাবা না থাকলে, ভাই বোন না থাকলে যে কি হয়, তাই না? আমাদের লাইফ অনেক কষ্টের, এটা বইলা শেষ করা যাবে না।
Feroza's path seems to have no end of difficulties and hardships. Being dependent on 3 wheels, she has to fight various kinds of battles to bear the expenses of daily life. Some battles are lost. If there had been more income before, maybe her son would still be alive. Back then, there were not sufficient savings to spend on treatment. Having lost her child, she has now become a grandmother to her daughter's children.
আমি আর কিছুই মনে করি না, যে যাই বলুক বলুক, আমার আম্মা কাজ করে। কি আমার আম্মা তো চুরি করে খায় না, তাইলে আল্লাহ দেখছে আমার আম্মা রক্ত পানি করে খায়। কি গাড়ি চালান কি ব্যাপার স্যাপার, কি কষ্টের ব্যাপার স্যাপার। আমার আম্মা রক্ত পানি করে খায়, এর চেয়ে হালাল টাকা কি আছে আর জীবনে? কি কম শেষে তার সে নামে নাই রাস্তায়, তার স্বামী থাকলে, সন্তান ছেলে থাকলে সে আজকে যাইতো না এই পথে। আমাকে 10 টাকা দিয়ে দিবে না, এর কথাতে আমাদের কিছু আসে যায় না। আর আমার আম্মা তো খারাপ কিছু করে খায় না, আমার আম্মা কর্ম করে, আমার কোনো কাজে ছোট না, কাজে।
In the hot sun, on rainy days, she drives for many kilometers through the sunburnt, rain-soaked streets and alleys to earn money. Even though she cannot see her family, often due to long hours, she can support them financially. They call each other to make sure that everybody is doing all right. Not long ago, Feroza had an accident that made her daughters worry. Anything can happen on the street.
তখন আমি টেনশনে থাকি, সত্যি কথা ভাই, পুরো আল্লাহ মরতে হবে, যে আমি এই জন্য ঘন ঘন ফোন করি আমার আম্মা, যে আবার বলি সাবধানে চালাও, আস্তে আস্তে চালাও, আর তোমার বাজারের টাকা হলে গেছে, ঘর ভাড়ার টাকা হলে গেছে।
But despite all the strikes of life, Feroza was always able to stand up with a smile to face the new challenge. If she doesn't work, there's no money. While the prices are increasing, there are no excuses not to get back behind the steering wheel. Thousands of dreams and futures depend on the pedals of the three-wheeled rickshaw. Hobbies are often left behind. Chunu, however, tries to create space for joy by playing football in the evenings. Even though he cannot earn any money while he is playing, he sometimes stops the rickshaw to join a match on the field. Football is his passion. He started to play in 2016 and hopes that his son will have the time in the future to play football as well. Chunu wishes that his dream will come true through his children one day. To do so, he's planning to buy his own rickshaw, or maybe even more than one, in order to create his own business. The life of rickshaw pullers is mostly simple, but not easy. Each of them has a different self-motivation to keep them going. After all his hard work, there is a loving family that waits for Sururi every day. And there is his hobby of taking photos. Hope, dream, hobby, these three must exist among people to survive and keep them going. Everyday life goes on by nurturing them. What will happen if someday fewer people will take rickshaws and switch to the metro? What will happen if the competition between the rickshaw pullers becomes so high that the number of passengers and therefore their income decreases? Will rickshaw pullers be able to feed their families with this profession in the future? Is it possible that the rickshaws will become a pure tourist attraction or end up in the museum in the coming decades?
ঢাকা শহরে রিক্সা না থাকলে আসলে ঢাকার শহর হচ্ছে রিক্সার শহর, ঠিক আছে। এখন যদি রিক্সা যদি বিলুপ্ত হয়ে যায় তাহলে দেখা যাবে ঢাকার চিত্র অন্যরকম হয়ে যাবে। অ্যাকচুয়ালি রিক্সা বিলুপ্ত হওয়ার মতো না, অর্থাৎ ঢাকার রিক্সা ভাই একদম সমার্থক। আপনি চাইলেও ঢাকাকে রিক্সা থেকে আলাদা করতে পারবেন না।
The rickshaw is perhaps the most efficient way of transportation because it is heavily embedded in the mobility regime of such a crowded city such as Dhaka. So far from being a kind of relic of the colonial past, I think that rickshaw could be perceived and conceived as a very efficient and ecological way of transportation that actually makes possible moving around in such a crowded city such as Dhaka. The real question here is not that of the traffic. I would say that the key issue is that of the rickshaw puller because it requires a lot of effort, it requires a lot of hard work, and the rickshaw puller, they work in an informal economy, and if something happens to them, they are basically without any insurance and without any safety net to take care of them, because these are perhaps the hardest working people in Dhaka.
Hope is living within the hearts of Dhaka's citizens. So many dreams in the city that never sleeps. So many people, questions, and stories. Stories of survival and proactivity. Stories of positivity despite despair, finding joy in difficult situations, and creating personal space. Stories of satisfaction, rich feelings, and connection. Are you there to connect?